Seahawks Today coming up in just a few moments, but before we do, YouTube has launched a new feature. It is called Super Thanks, and it allows you to give us money because we need it around here. And my bosses have told me if we don't get $50, then we're screwed. So please, check out Super Thanks, give us some cash, and that way I could feed my family and my dog and everybody. It's a great thing. Super Thanks, we certainly appreciate it. Got our first Super Thanks the other day from Jack. He gave us $1.99. Anything helps. I think Drew Lock will prove people wrong. Maybe so. More on Drew Lock in just a moment. Seahawks Today, powered by Chat Sports. Tyler Jones here with you. Appreciate you joining us. On today's show, we are looking at breakout players and projections for the 2022 season. Let's go ahead and get started with Noah Fant, the tight end that came over in the Russell Wilson trade. And I got to tell you, I really like what I've seen from Noah Fant through 3 years so far in the National Football League. This past season, 90 targets resulted in 68 catches, 670 yards, and 4 touchdowns. Not bad numbers from Noah Fant, but I think they will be much better in 2022. A big breakout year, I think, for Fant. You're talking, I think, about 850 yards. The targets, I think, go up a little bit, but I think he starts to bring those in a little more and results in more touchdowns as well. I have him jumping up to 8 touchdowns in 2022. I really like Noah Fant, and since he's entered the league the last 3 seasons, he is in the top 8 in the entire NFL among tight ends in receiving yards. So as he's just starting to enter his prime, I think he's only going to go up from here. So I'm expecting a big year from Noah Fant in 2022. What about you guys? Do you think Noah Fant will have a breakout season in 2022? Tell us in the comments section. Type Y for yes, type in for no if you think Noah Fant's going to have a breakout season. You're about to get an ad break. Take advantage of it. While the ad's playing, get your votes in and tell us Y for yes, in for no if Noah Fant will have a breakout season. Another name to watch is Dee Eskridge, the wide receiver for the Seahawks, who's competing for that number 3 spot on the depth chart as the number 3 or 4 receiver entering this offseason. And you look at the numbers for Dee this past year, he didn't get the ball a whole lot last year. 20 targets, 10 catches, only 64 yards, and 1 touchdown grab for Dee Eskridge this past year. He dealt with some injuries and such. Now you move forward to this year, and there's a lot of potential with Dee, I think. There's a lot of excitement with the speed, the pure speed that he brings to the football field, and I think those targets are going to go up. I think we're looking at maybe 60 targets, about 38 catches, 475 yards, and 3 touchdowns. That would be a nice bump, especially considering that the Seahawks' situation at quarterback is not as good as what it was last year, obviously. So if Dee's numbers can jump up like that with quarterback play going down, I think you'll take advantage of it. I think you'd feel pretty good if Dee Eskridge can get his numbers up to that extent as your number 3 receiver potentially. Another name, Drew Lock, is a breakout candidate. Although I am not high on Drew Lock, we have to bring him up when it comes to the breakout candidate discussion because Drew Lock, looking at being your starting quarterback, more than likely, based on what we hear from Pete Carroll, saying that he would have been the best quarterback in this draft class and all the optimism they have about Drew Lock. The last time we saw Drew Lock play a complete season was in 2020, and the numbers weren't that great. A less than 58% completion percentage, less than 3,000 yards passing, 16 touchdowns, and 15 picks. The numbers I'm about to give you, I think, are optimistic for Drew Lock. 60% completion percentage. You would hope he can get at least 60. 3,500 yards, 20 touchdowns, 15 picks. That right there would be an improvement, and you know, I look at those numbers, it's not great, but it's better than anything we've seen from Drew Lock at this point in time. And in this system, it's going to be a run-first offense. Drew Lock is not going to be asked to do a whole lot, comparably speaking, like he was in Denver on that front. So although I am not high on Drew Lock, he is somebody that you can't not mention when it comes to breakout performers because it is make or break for Drew Lock in this 2022 campaign. So tell me in the comment section, do you believe in Drew Lock? Type B for believe. Type D for doubt. And tell me what you think as far as Drew Lock goes in 2022. If you're a believer or not in Drew Lock, let us know in the comment section below. Another name, Rashad Penny. Now, you look at the Seahawks running back room. You bring in Kenneth Walker III, the running back from Michigan State with your second-round pick. And you still have Chris Carson, at least for now anyway. Rashad Penny is going to be competing for that number one running back role alongside with Kenneth Walker III. And he is coming off an injury, so that is something to keep in mind as well. But Rashad Penny in the second half of last year was really good. He showed some good signs, comparably speaking, to how he started the year. But we are all looking to see what he can do with a full season of work. Is he as good as Kenneth Walker? That remains to be seen. But let's go back to Penny's numbers from last year in 2021. 6 touchdowns, really good, average at 6.3, 749 yards. But those numbers could be better. And I think that what we'll see from Penny, he'll have to split time with Kenneth Walker. I like Kenneth Walker more. I think he's going to be your starting running back, but I don't think Rashad Penny is going to disappoint. I think he's going to be a really good number 2 option, maybe the best number 2 back in the NFL, and you would love to have these numbers as your number 2 back. 800 yards, 7 touchdowns. I would be pleased if Rashad Penny can do that as your number 2 running back. So although the numbers aren't up a whole lot and the average is down from what it was a year ago, when you talk about the role that he would be in, I see him as a number 2 back. If he puts those numbers up as a number 2 back, or if he starts just some of the games, I think you'd be very pleased with that. So, through 4, here's what we have so far. Noah Fant, Dee Eskridge, Drew Lock, and Rashad Penny as our breakout candidates for 2022. We will reveal the final name in just a moment, but before we do, we want to make sure that you are subscribed to Seahawks Today. We are covering this team each and every day on the channel. YouTube.com/SeahawksTV is where you can find us for nonstop Seahawks coverage each and every day. Turn those notifications on. Just yesterday, we had a video on Drew Brees, the former New Orleans Saints quarterback who is now retired and doing some television, talking about maybe returning to football. Well, we broke it all down yesterday. Is it a crazy rumor? Maybe, but no rumor is too crazy for this channel. So check that out if you haven't seen it already. YouTube.com/SeahawksTV. Subscribe to the channel. You will not regret it. Our final name on our countdown is Cody Barton, the linebacker who's expected to take a starting linebacker role this year. He was a reserve. This year he moves into the lineup with the departure of Bobby Wagner. Here are the numbers from Cody Barton last year as a backup. 38 tackles, 1 tackle for loss, did not register a sack or a forced fumble. So basically, from the numbers you're seeing there, there's nowhere to go but up for Cody Barton. Here's what I look at with Cody Barton in 2022. I think he could get about 86 tackles. I think that's realistic. When it comes to tackles for loss, I think about 8 is possible. 5 sacks, 3 forced fumbles. You do that for somebody that's not your best linebacker. We know that Jordan Brooks is going to be leading the way in that linebacking core. If Cody Barton can do that, can put up numbers like that, I think you'll take it. For what you are paying Cody Barton, you would be pleased with that production on that defense. So, before we go, I want to hear from you guys. Who do you think will have a breakout year in 2022? I need a name to watch in 2022. Whether it's one of these 5 guys we mentioned, maybe it's somebody else. Tell me in the comments section below who you think will have a breakout year this season for your Seattle Seahawks.